Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to see you all. Today's learning should be as a merit for a refuah shalema and for tests, and please God to show some more positivity for Shmuel Abraham ben Rachel. And also my friend in Charlotte, North Carolina, who's actually going to be with us next Shabbat, which is really exciting because we're going to the European Rebbetzin Conference together in Strasbourg on Monday. So she's going to be here for Shabbat. She's stopping over to spend Shabbat with us, which is really exciting. And she's going to be talking to the community. So that's definitely a plus. That her son, who lives in Israel and has a large family and has been in Miluim multiple times, has now gone back in. So we are praying for Aaron ben Sarah Fager and all of our brave men and women who are fighting to keep us safe, because we know that what they're doing in Israel is for all of us. I've got two stories to share with you today. The first one is Hi from Israel. How wonderful. I really enjoyed your Emunah share on Monday. We went to Israel early the next morning. All was fine with the journey, except the slight annoyance that we weren't given seats together. However, one of the people sitting next to me was a lady who was really friendly, chatting to the children and adults around her. We got talking, of course. She asked me lots of questions, and I told her about moving to Bushy and what an active community it is. I told her about our Monday morning sessions and about the meeting the previous night, where people could voice their views about what is happening in the UK and in Israel. The lady was from Stamford Hill, and I told her some ladies from Bushy had recently visited there. She asked me why we'd chosen Bushy, so I told her my story, which included the part about my husband dying and me marrying again. She went quiet, turned to me and said, "My husband died in January." As you can imagine, we then had another type of discussion. I hope I was some help. I definitely felt I was where I was meant to be. When we got to Israel, I shared this story with my sister-in-law. She told me she had used the expression 2 hours earlier to her sister in New York, who is making Aliyah in the summer. Her sister was upset because a couple she had introduced were going to get married in Israel and now were getting married in New York after her Aliyah date, so she would be arriving in Israel later. My daughter-in-law had told her, "You are where you're meant to be." I'm a little sad I can't join the ladies' well-being afternoon, as that afternoon it's the birthday party for one of my granddaughters. But hey, I'll be where I'm meant to be. Chag Sameach to you and your family. I loved joining in everything last year over Shavuot, even staying up for the Tikkun Leil all night for the first time. But this year, I am where I'm meant to be. How many people thought of I am where I'm meant to be over the last week and a half? Isn't it unbelievable? It's just such a mind shift. Okay, firstly, to say thank you to you both tonight. I think these sessions are greatly needed. This was after the community discussion. I came home filled with emotion. Then we put on the news and immediately saw a car had ploughed into and injured people at the Liverpool parade tonight. My son and grandson were there, and until I got through to them and he said they were okay, my heart was in my mouth and took a while to return to normal. I kept repeating, "Thank you, Hashem," but feeling guilty as well for the poor families who were affected by this tragic event. My son and grandson were okay, but other families were not. Then my thoughts went to those families whose children are fighting a war and they don't know where they are or if they are okay, and to the hostages whose families have grieved for 600 days. How do they do it not knowing what conditions they are in or if they are alive? We were talking today about being in the right place. Did Hashem move my family along out of harm's way so they were where they were? You are where you are, but you are where you're meant to be. So two very powerful stories. Okay. There's an amazing lady that I've got to know through the Mayan program, through United Synagogue, and I would call her really a friend. When we were on sabbatical, we were trying to arrange that we could go and spend Shabbat with her. It never worked out, but I know whenever she comes here, we just really connect very, very well. She's an amazing lady, Erica Brown, who is the Vice Provost of Values and Leadership at Yeshiva University and the director of its Rabbi Jonathan Sachs Herenstein Center. So she actually, when she came here recently, we met her in the United Synagogue Head's office, because she was taking a group of students that were on the Rabbi Sachs program. She was very, very close with Rabbi Sachs. He's her Rebbe, he's her teacher. And they were learning Rabbi Sachs's Torah, and like they've been on this whole program learning all about Rabbi Sachs and Rabbi Sachs's heritage. And I wasn't there actually, but Elchanan met them at Bushy New Cemetery and took them to see Rabbi Sachs's kever, his grave. And anyone who goes at any point, I think to me, it's so comforting that as you go to visit anyone or as you go to any funeral, you're walking past Rabbi Sachs, like it's almost as if he's greeting everyone who passes through those gates. You know, I find it very powerful. But for Erica, who was so close to him, so first she kind of was there with her students, but then I think the enormity of actually seeing her teacher's grave, you know, the finality of the fact that he's passed really hit her. And Elchanan said, you know, she was really beside herself. But to have that sort of connection to someone so great is an unbelievable thing. So anyway, I saw I often talk about WhatsApp statuses. That's my link to reality, or some sort of reality. But on Divrei Kodesh, which is their store, the Judaic shop in Edgware, so they often share the new releases. And when I saw this book, I was like, I have to get this, called Morning Has Broken: Faith After October the 11th by Erica Brown. And what I was actually thinking is, this is going to be perfect. Every week we'll kind of read a passage, we'll discuss it, it will become our textbook. And I got this book just before Yom Tov, I think. And you can see, I don't normally read very quickly, but I'm probably up to about here. So really, like, it's become compelling reading. But what's interesting about it is it really isn't the sort of book that we could kind of study through methodically, because it feels a little bit similar to this class. It's almost just like her random thoughts and collections coming together, which is not very like Erica Brown. Like she's you know, she's a real academic. She's written so many books. She's normally writes in like a very, like, you can learn her material. And I think that, to me, like as I was reading it, I was like, okay, so everyone's feeling like this. You know, everyone's got these disagreeing thoughts and this trying to puzzle things together, and we're all feeling lost right now. That's okay. And the title that she's used, Morning Has Broken, and connecting it with October the 7th, that she's kind of jumping between events. It's really very, very powerful reading. But you know, along the lines of you are where you're meant to be, or things happening for a reason. You know, there was a reason that I was reading this, and one chapter really jumped out at me, and which I'm going to share with you. And I think out of everything that's happened since October the 7th, I think this is the one thing that probably hit me the hardest and I struggled the most with. And I wonder if anyone else feels, out of all the different things that happened, this was just something that I remember where I was standing. Someone told me, we were near the nursery doors on Shabbat. It was. I remember standing there. I remember her telling me what happened, and I remember not believing what she said. I said, it can't be. So this is what Erica writes: regret. It's late Friday afternoon in the United States, so which means it was Shabbat, which is why I only heard about this the next day. More bad news. 3 hostages who escaped were killed by friendly fire. A detestable expression that dishonors the seriousness of the mistake. Right? Does everyone feel like that was that part of the war where you just felt, right? There's just, I can't put into words how distraught and how heavy and how horrendous that was. There's nothing friendly about gunfire. I walk into the sanctuary to welcome in Shabbat, but I am too unfocused. The families of those 3 did their own praying and wishing and hoping to see a son, a father, a brother come home. Those 3 men found a way out. They risked their lives for their freedom. Shot by their own, they escaped but could not escape. They were free and then not free. I'm going to jump this bit. It's not clear how these young soldiers who shot 3 hostages will work through the boulder heavy regret. A mother of one hostage forgives. Iris Chaim exonerates the IDF for the death of her son Yotam. She heard that morale was low in the army after the death of the three. So she sent a message to the Bislamach Brigade's 17th Battalion, which was responsible. Was she angry? Not, this is a quote, not for 1 minute. There was pain, there was sadness, there was huge sadness about the fact that Yotam isn't here. And we were in shock, total shock, but we weren't angry. She consoled them. I know that everything that happened is absolutely not your fault, and nobody's fault except of that of Hamas. And don't hesitate for a second if you see a terrorist. Don't think that you killed a hostage deliberately. You have to look after yourself, because that's the only way you can look after us. If only one story of forgiveness existed in the world, it would be this. After the Yom Kippur War, even Golda Meir's critics understood that despite the significant number of military casualties, she had ensured an eventual victory. From a military perspective, the war ended well for Israel. Nevertheless, Golda considered the war a spectacular failure. Though the Commission of Inquiry absolved her of all responsibility, no one was surprised by her subsequent decision to step down from office. Her leadership days were over. Years later, before her death, Golda acknowledged that since that war, I am not the same person. We are so fortunate that on Wednesday, Iris Chaim's going to be coming to our community Wednesday evening, this Wednesday night. I cannot stress how strongly everybody needs to be here. And I know we're a small group, but please tell everyone, this woman is unbelievable. To me, it's like, you can't even compute what she did. Straight after her son was killed, she wanted to make sure that the soldiers were okay. And she really doesn't hold resentment in her heart. That story of forgiveness is unbelievable. And to hear about her faith and hear about how she's trying to do something positive with the terrible things that's happened to her. We had something in our diary Wednesday night, and I was like, we just have to rearrange. We are going to have this woman come to our community. We can't not have her come and speak to us. And I really think, like, to be in the presence of greatness is an incredible, it's just an incredible opportunity. Let's see. Try coming back. We'll see. I will ask. Okay, I just need to put the log in. For a second. So if you remember last week, we spoke about the fact that it was our bat mitzvah session because it was our 12th session together. So that makes this our bar mitzvah session. So last bat mitzvah, you got bracelets. For the bar mitzvah, we're going to watch some videos together. There have been so many videos that I've found truly, truly inspirational. And it's almost like hard to know which ones to share. So I've chosen a few of them, and it's what we'll do is we'll watch a video and then we can comment, and anyone who wants to share as well about it can. And this one came in actually last night. I saw this. So it's interesting how certain things kind of land on my desk, and I think, like this book, I was like, okay, like there's a message there, and then reading about it. You are where you're meant to be. Even you see what you're meant to see, kind of. I think you have to be careful because we know that algorithm feeds you. But what's wonderful is I think that I'm being fed a really incredible, inspirational algorithm at the moment. And it is much better than some of the really horrible, negative, scary things that I've been seeing. So I'm really pleased to be able to share this. So this is Omer Shem Tov, who is actually coming to London and speaking for JNF. So I'm going to be going. I don't know if anyone else is, but are you going to that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll go together. Okay, so we went to hear Eli Sharabi speak, and I just think that each one of these incredible human beings who's survived and survived with faith, there's just so much we can learn from it. You know, we on our Poland trips, and when we go and hear, anytime we have on Yom HaShoah, we have a Holocaust survivor speak. You know, we are so blessed to hear from them, and we know that they're not going to be here for so long. It's so much longer, right? They're all in their 90s now, and the ones who can still share their story, it's unbelievable, but we are losing the survivors. And I think that we always say that we have to be careful not to equate, because October the 7th isn't the Holocaust, but there are the messages that this is what our class started from, and what it was based on is the messages from these people.
והשיר אבא התנגן אצלי לכל אורך השבי בראש. כל כך התקרבתי לדעת, כל כך התחזקתי, כל כך הרבה מילים נגעו לי פתאום, כאילו כל כך הרגשתי את השיר הזה פתאום. ושחזרתי, זה היה השיר הראשון ששמעתי, שחזרתי. ישבנו ביחד, אחותי, אח שלי ואני, זה היה בסביבות 2 לפנות בוקר. ישבנו ביחד על ספה בבית חולים, וביקשתי מאחותי את הטלפון, כי רציתי לשמוע שיר. וזה השיר הראשון ששמתי. אבא, אני רוצה לעמוד ממך, להאמין שאתה אבא טוב. אבא, אני צריך לדעת שאתה אוהב אותי, ככה סתם, אבא טוב. אבא, אני רוצה להיות, אבא, אני רוצה להיות בטוח. שכל מה שאני עובר בדרך יהפוך לשם לעוצמה גדולה.
So he's sitting with the person who composed the song. Yeah.
So some of us here would have been to Hostage Square.
Yeah.
In Hostage Square, they've got that tunnel which they'll now walk through. And we were in there, I don't think we were in that 5 or 10 seconds before we wanted to get out. It was so horrendous.
Mm.
So what those poor people go through day after day, it's unimaginable.
Yeah. Just a tiny
just that
taste of
little fraction of time in it. It was scary.
I think did someone made something like that in London at one point? Does anyone remember that? There was something. There was like an installation or something. But I think it's so important to do that even for the 5 seconds, so that actually you can never put yourself really in someone else's shoes ever. But actually, in the same way that we did the Poland trips, to you stand in the gas chambers, of course you don't know what it was like. But actually, just to try to connect a bit more, I think it's very powerful.
Do the same when we do the tour of Dennis
Yeah.
in Israel, when we went to Nova. I mean, Nova is Nova, but on the route down there on that road, all the shelters by the bus stops, there were shelters, and you go in and you see all the bullet shells and everything. You literally see, and people are coming, they stuck stickers of hostages and those that perished in that area. Actually, you're standing in this thing, and they've got still very much like the Holocaust. They've still got shoes in there and trainers, and people have left them, and they've left them there. You actually think, this is in my lifetime on a road,
A normal road,
a normal road, normal people, and this has happened in our lifetime, and it's too shocking. It's actually too shocking.
And I saw there was one of the hostages who was released who went back there to the shelter that he was taken from, to pray. So we spoke about this amazing mother who's coming, and I think that when we're talking about incredible mothers, this woman is just unbelievable. This is her speaking. I don't know if anyone saw this video, but this is her speaking at the YU graduation.
Thank you for being with us and with all the hostage families from day one. You never stopped and said, hey, they don't look like us. They don't have our exact shita. They don't have our exact hashkafa. Their shul does things differently than our shul. No. You looked at what connects us. You said, your agony is my agony. Your pain is my pain. Your son is my mother's son. And so your son is my brother.
One of the big messages of Shavuot is about unity. And I think, again, since October the 7th, we have all changed. And we have to change. And I think it's easier in a way to look at the people in Israel who are going through such hard times to think how much we can empathize with them. But sometimes it's harder for the person living next to us, around the corner, or sitting in the row behind us in Shul that's just being annoying, right? But they are our sisters and brothers. And I think that message of unity, we've spoken about this before, but the media is trying to convince us that it doesn't exist anymore and that it's all falling apart. But we cannot let go of that. We cannot have gone through October the 7th and less than 2 years later forget that we are one people and we are different and we have different opinions and we think about different things and we do things in different ways, but we are one people. And some of the people here are on one of our Poland WhatsApp groups that has been really challenging because people are sharing different views. But I have to say it's okay to have different views and we have to respect each other. And it's never okay to be horrible to people because they don't share our view. You know, I think one of the things that we all feel so strongly is we want to defend everything about Israel and everything they do. But if we look honestly into the mirror, we don't always understand everything. And the way that the media is portrayed to us, and yes, sometimes afterwards we find out it's lies, but we just don't always know. And I actually spoke to one of the people. Lawrence is a tzaddik, in case you didn't know. He's a very righteous person who calmed things down and really helped. But I spoke to one of the people, and it's just so confusing. I'm confused about what the truth is. It's okay to be confused. And what was comforting to me again in this book with Erica is I think she's also confused. How can you not be? People are dying on both sides. What we're not confused about is that Hamas is evil and the Jewish people in Israel is good. That we're not confused about. But do people make mistakes? Of course they do. There's a video that I wanted to share with you that a soldier spoke about, which I found very powerful.
How I almost died for Palestinian children, not to kill Palestinian children. There's not a single soldier in there that is doing that. Our officer, every single morning when we woke up, every single morning before we went on a new mission, said, remember who you are, remember your values, remember you're Jewish, remember you're a good person. That is the way you have to lead yourself. We are not murderers, we are not killers. No matter how much anger and hate you have for what happened on October 7th to your own brothers, sisters, cousins, best friends, no matter how angry you are, lead with your heart, lead with love. Remember that we are good people and lead as a Jewish person. And that's how we went in every single day. But that's not what the world thought.
I think for ourselves, that message, just to remind ourselves we are good people. Things happen in a war. Terrible things happen in a war, but we are good people and our soldiers are good people. Are there extreme Meshuggahs in every society? Yes. Unfortunately, do they make it to the headlines every single time? Yes. Are they completely wrong? Yes. Will we never ever say what they're doing is okay, no matter how angry you are, no matter how hurt you are? It's not okay to kill innocent lives on purpose. We all know that. But to hear from our soldiers, this is what they're doing, is they are being told, wake up in the morning, remember your values, remember you're a Jew, remember that you love people. It doesn't matter if your best friend was killed at Nova. It doesn't matter if your family was taken hostage. Remember who you are and keep that in your mind as you're fighting. I found that such a powerful video. Then we come here to Ellie. I think he's coming again.
He's coming again. He's coming with UJIA.
Yeah. You're going to?
Yeah. Because a lot of us missed it the last time.
Yeah, the tickets sold out. I'm just very lucky that Jacqueline Sancta Costa was doing security. And I said, please, please, please. But yeah, they've sold out. I don't know how you got tickets. They sold out in a second.
Yeah,
but yeah, unbelievable opportunity. You know, I really feel like to be in the presence of greatness. And obviously there is something that they gain from speaking, as hard as it is, there's something therapeutic about talking about their story, but really the reason that he's doing this is because some of his closest friends are still there. And I think that's the part that just breaks our heart. But again, to hear how Eli found his faith.
בשבילי כל החיים זה בחירה. מהיום הראשון שלי בשבי האמנתי בזה. לא בחרתי לחטף, לא בחרתי במה שקרה לנו, אבל כן בחרתי תמיד איך להגיב, ובמה להאחז, ואיך להישאר בן אדם. והדברים האלה מבחינתי עוזרים לי לבחור בחיים. אני תמיד יכולתי לתת, אחרי הידיעה על אשתי והבנות, ביום השחרור שלי, יכולתי לתת לאבל לקבור אותי, או לחפש דרך להמשיך. ואני בוחר בחיים, אני בוחר באור, ובוחר להתקדם ולאהוב, ואני פשוט אוהב את החיים.
I saw, I think it was today I saw that he'd said that he was grateful that he hadn't heard while he was in captivity, that he saw that as a bracha, that he hadn't heard while he was in captivity, that his wife and children had been killed, because that gave him a purpose. And there's a phrase from the Talmud that says that what we're meant to, we're meant to be able to bless on something good in the same way that we say a blessing on something bad. So we know at the moment when someone passes away, we say Baruch Dayan Ha'amet, right? We say a blessing for God being the true judge, and justice is a very harsh way of being, right? That's how we view death. It's a harsh reality. What we're told is in the times of Mashiach, or ultimately, we should be able to say the same blessing we say over something good. The blessing we say, if you taste a really nice wine, you're meant to say the blessing Hatov v'Hametiv, which is like for the good and the one who gives good, right? There's something good about it. So the Gemara is telling us that we will reach a point where we'll be able to say this blessing of good when someone dies. We'll see only as good. And I saw a video clip. Someone was describing a very special lady who, only did good in the world, had passed away, and her husband spoke at the eulogy. And when they got the diagnosis that actually the treatment wasn't working anymore and she had limited time left to live, her husband had said that he just feels gratitude. He just feels so grateful that he had 27 years with her, and that they had the family that they had together. And that idea of being able to focus on the good is a very difficult thing to do, because at the end of the day, when we lose someone that we love, that pain is all encompassing. But the fact that there are people who can try to tap into the idea of how lucky was I, is it the Queen, I think, that famously said about grief is the price you pay for having someone that you love, right? Something along those lines. Is that all right, Kate? Or something like that, right? And I think to be able to say, like, how lucky was I to have had that person? I think that Eli's kind of what he was saying is saying that, like, he felt grateful not to have known something that was so terrible, because that, like, he could view that as something positive. Like, it blows my mind. I'm sure it does for you. Like, to me, it just doesn't make sense. But actually, he's using that tool of choosing to see good in the most horrendous. Like, where is there good? Right? Where is there? But he said, I chose light and love. And the easiest thing for him to do is curl up in a ball and say that I don't want this anymore. But he's chosen light and love and purpose, and he's going around the world telling people about light and love and purpose. Is unbelievable. These are, when I shared with you the first time about Sasha and Sapir, Sasha was the bracelet that I wore and the card that I picked. I feel like he was my hostage in a way. This was the one that I, obviously also we are always thinking of Elkanah and all the other hostages, but I did feel like I got to know him. If you remember, he was the one who worked for Amazon, and Amazon didn't want to make a political statement, to say anything about anyway. But what's amazing is to hear, but I've got a clip from both of them. They spoke in, I think it's in Palm Beach Synagogue. So there is on YouTube the whole video if you want. I think it's 57 minutes long, but they are just an incredible couple. That would be my dream if we could bring them here, maybe one day. But to hear these people speak is just unbelievable. Yeah. Maybe we'll get them. Please God, we are hoping to do an Israel mission. We're just looking at hopefully to be able to put it out there after Sukkot in October time. We're really hoping that it will work out. But that's what we can try to do, is get them to come and talk about.
I just prayed. I had one prayer that I remember before of that. And I just say this prayer again and again and again. And when I say that, I felt some peace inside of me that I didn't understand. How can I feel peace in this situation? Before the October 7, I had anxieties. It's something that I never experienced before of that. I didn't know why I feel like that, because there was no reason for it. Well, my feelings were so bad and so strong. For the first time in my life, I decided to pray because I felt that I'm standing in front of a danger that just God can help me. One day I saw a prayer appeared in my Instagram. It was a chapter in Tehillim, and they wrote there that if you read it for 30 days, you will be healthy and miracles will happen to you. So I'm saying it's a great deal. This is what I wanted. From that day, I say this prayer every day 30 days, and the last day was the October 7. After 2 weeks maybe, I remember the prayer, and it's very surprised me because I never can remember things and so complicated words. So I decided to focus in the words to notice what I'm saying. And the prayer is not related to recovery, it's related to war and God, please save me from the enemies. And in Hebrew, even the word Hamas appeared there. I thought to myself, from which war I praying to be saved? And on October 7, I felt the meaning of this prayer. I say this prayer in every new place that I came, every new tunnel, house, with every new terrorist that I saw. And I felt that it's from God.
I think we've shared this story before, but the prayer that she was saying, what's interesting is it is the one that we say from the beginning of Elul. So actually when she was saying it, it's from the beginning of the month before Rosh Hashanah, and the last day that you say it is on Shmini Atzeret, which was October the 7th. And I remember being in Shul and saying it and being like, whoa, this prayer. And then I heard her months later when she was released, I heard her story. But what's amazing is that whoever's posted it on Instagram said, this is the cure for if you're not feeling well, say this. They got it wrong. They didn't know what they were talking about. It wasn't that prayer. And I just sometimes think, I wonder if that person, whoever made that mistake on, on social media, there's no way of verifying is what you're saying is actually accurate or not. But could you imagine, like, that person after 120 years goes up to heaven and Hashem says, you made someone know a prayer that took her the whole way through captivity, praying every day because you posted this thing on Instagram. Like, it's just an amazing how, again, this idea of saying this prayer and connecting to. And then this was her boyfriend, Sasha.
Before 7 October, I didn't believe in God at all. I was raised in a community that is an atheist. God has no place in my life at all. During the time I was held in Gaza and the tough things I went through, step by step, I got the place to think, to reflect about my life, what I've been through, what I've done before 7 October and the event itself, and what I'm doing now. At this time, at this place I'm in Gaza. And I start reflecting on my life and thinking about what it's life itself. Is God real or not? I came to understanding that there is God, and it gave me a lot of strength, believing, being able to pray, find strength from prayer, being able to understand that, well, maybe I'm in a tough moment right now. Maybe God moved me in a place that is, well, it's a tough place. You are very sad, you are alone, you feel very vulnerable. It's my choice, what I'm doing with it. I can be sad, I can be depressed, or I can find strength to do things that will help me get out of this situation, to find happiness even if there is not a lot to be happy for. I choose the second choice, and it's helped me a lot. During the time, it helped me when my life was in danger. It helped me in tough situations. It helped me going through hardships, as well as helped me physically, also helped my soul a lot. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to find this belief in God during this tough time.
I think what's really powerful about what Sasha said, and I think it's kind of a thread that goes through, is at the end of the day, it comes down to a choice. At the end of the day, that's where you can be in the worst situation and you can choose to be angry at God, to not believe in God, to be stuck in that place. Or like Sasha did, you can choose to work on faith and to believe. And both choices are valid choices. That's what I always think. When you go through hard things, both choices are okay. It's okay to make either choice. But one of them fills you with light and hope and strength. And the other one is so painful and draining. That being in a place where you choose to move away, or you choose anger, or you choose hurt, those are all make so much sense, right? It's part of who we are as people. And it's sometimes we go in ways, sometimes we choose that, and sometimes we can choose to attach to light and hope. And that's why, again, coming back to why we are here to grapple, is because actually sometimes it's hard to choose. And sometimes it feels like it's hard to even tap into that strength. And I think that when you can hear from people who've gone through hard times and see how they have made choices that fill them with hope and light, like Ellie said, like Safir said, like Sasha said, these are things that really give us a lot. The last video that I want to share with you, and we might run over a few minutes Friday, but it will be it. Is actually on a different route that I saw, but again, it's a very powerful story. So she's speaking in English and the subtitles are in Hebrew, so I hope that this will be okay. And I think this was quite a powerful story to share just after Shavuot, because Shavuot, the main character on Shavuot is Ruth, who chooses Judaism. So when we talk about choices, this is what I wanted to share with you.
I was born with the name Marta Bahel, Ava Achshav Shem Sheli Ruth Jacqueline. I was born and raised in the Netherlands. My parents, they are very sweet, and it was a beautiful home where I got raised in. Me as a child, I think always been happy but shy. When I was younger, I used to go to London a lot and to Ibiza a lot. I used to party a lot. I was a real party girl. 6 years ago, I was 21 years old. And this is when my whole life changed. In an after party in Ibiza, I met Eitan.
קוראים לי איתן יחיאל. נולדתי למשפחה חרדית אורתודוקסית, דיקטטורת הלכה, אבא מדהים, משפחה מלאה אהבה. מגיל 16 בעצם חי לבד. כסף תמיד משך אותי. באמצע 2019 אני יוצא לחופשה לאי ביזה, פעם ראשונה. בשעה 6 לפנות בוקר, אני פוגש את האישה שתשנה את חיי.
Yeah, the connection, our souls connected.
החלפנו סושיאל מדיה, החלפנו טלפונים.
1 week after, he texted me on Instagram if I would like to come to Tel Aviv because he met a good friend of mine. I thought, okay, let's go to Tel Aviv. I've never been before. Then the first time when I was in Tel Aviv, 3 model agencies came to me. They were asking me, would you like to start modeling in Tel Aviv? And I flew back to the Netherlands. I told my parents, Papa, Mama, I'm going to be a model. I'm moving to Tel Aviv. We became a couple. We had a lot of fun together, and we also started traveling.
מברצלונה לאמסטרדם, מאמסטרדם ליוון,
To Mykonos,
לספרד.
to Mexico.
3 חודשים של באמת אוטוסטרדה של מסיבות, בילויים, מקום למקום. 3 חודשים לאחר מכן, היה לי פגישה עסקית עם אחד הקולגות שלי.
We had a good dinner, and then we drove home, and Ethan told me, oh, I'm so tired.
אז אני מנסה להעסיק את עצמי, לדבר איתה. הפעם הבאה שאני זוכר זה אני מתעורר לתוך צפצוף של ביפ פיפ, אותו הפוך בג'ונגל. אני רואה את מרתה סורה, כול אדם אני מנסה לגוע בה, מרתה, אני לא מקבל שום תגובה. הגענו לבית חולים, לקראת הבוקר אני מצליח לקבל מהרופאים קצת תמונה יותר שהיא במצב של קומה, יש לה פגיעת ראש והרופאים לא יודעים מתי היא תקום. הייתי קם כל בוקר, הייתי מגיע לבית חולים, מתיישב לידה, היא כרגע כמובן היא לא מתקשרת, ופה הייתי מתחיל לשאול את עצמי, הכרת אותה לפני 3 חודשים, להישאר פה, לא להישאר פה, כן להישאר במערכת יחסים הזאת. יכול להיות שאתה תהיה עם צמח, מישהי נכה, אתה לא יודע מה התהליך. והבנתי שיש פה תוכנית אלוקית. יש פה משהו מעבר להשגה שלי, והבנתי אם זה תכליתי להיות עם הדבר הטהור הזה, עם הדבר הנקי הזה, אני מוכן להתמסר ולהיות שמה, ולתת את כל כולי.
When I woke up from coma, I was a different person. I wasn't there. I don't remember. My brain, it was so broken, I was a whole different person. I was paralyzed, I couldn't move. I had to learn everything from the beginning.
הרופאים מביאים אותנו לחדר ישיבות, אותי וההורים שלה, ואמרו לנו, כנראה היא תשב בכיסא גלגלים כל החיים, איך היא תתקשר, מה היא תתקשר, גם את זה אנחנו לא יודעים.
Blessed are you, Hashem, our God, King of the universe, who grants Israel with glory. I couldn't speak out loud because my tongue was still paralyzed. I started to have prayers like, please help me. I know it's all happening for a reason, but I want to get out of the hospital. I want to walk again. I was locked in a cage. That's what it felt like. This was really traumatic to me. I was trying to figure out then, like, must be a God, look at everything I went through. Look how life goes upside down like this. I'm partying like this. I'm in coma. Like, it was a whole transformation.
חודשיים לאחר מכן החליטו שמעבירים אותה למרכז שיקום. בזמן הזה המצב שלה קצת משתפר יותר ויותר. חיוך אז מתחיל לעלות לי על הפנים שאני מבין, היא בדרך הנכונה, כאילו אני מקבל את מרתה בחזרה.
It was so much work to regain my strength. It was a lot of hard work, but Hashem guided me through, you know. For the first time in life, I actually started to pray. I never prayed before in my life. Never. I felt like there was a God. I felt like it was something greater that was happening, something greater making me walk again, something bigger than I ever knew. I started to have faith. I started to understand there's more in this world. When I got out of the rehabilitation center, I had just that an inner feeling I wanted to get connected. I wanted to convert to Orthodox Judaism.
קיבלתי את זה בתור אינפורמציה כזאת והמשכתי הלאה. מה את רוצה להתגייר? את יודעת מה זה להיות יהודי בכלל? אבל ככל שהזמן עובר והזמן עובר, אתה רואה את ההתמסרות שלה, אתה אומר כאילו באיזשהו מקום, מה מביא אותה כאילו להשקיע כל כך הרבה זמן במשהו שהוא כל כך תובעני?
I started following lessons and slowly mitzvot. I quit the modeling. I also got pregnant.
מאז שהיא נכנסה להיריון, פתאום אני מבין, יש לי תפקיד בעולם. התקשרתי לאבא, אמרתי לו, אבא, אני רוצה ללמוד. התחלנו ללמוד טלפוני, אני באביזה ואבא בישראל. פתאום התורה, שאתה לומד עם אבא, בעצם הכל מקבל משמעות יותר. פתאום אתה מקבל איזשהו סוויץ', שאתה בעצם, כל מה שעשית עד עכשיו, זה בעצם לא אתה עשית, זה מישהו אחר עשה, וזה הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Slowly we started entering more and more and more, and then we came to a realization we need to follow all mitzvot. We need to make Hashem happy, we need to make Hashem proud, and that's what make us feel better. I had my conversion in Los Angeles. I have to pick a Jewish name. I had no idea, but Then I remembered the story of Ruth Amabia and how deeply connected I felt to her. I felt deeply connected to the story and I just felt like Hashem picked out the name Ruth for me.
ברוך הגבר אשר יפתח באדוני, והיה אדוני מבטחו. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. אתה צריך בן אדם אחד שישנה לך את החיים מהקצה לקצה, ובשבילי זו הייתה רות.
Hashem planned my entire path. You should always have faith, trust, Emunah, and the rest will follow.
I wanted to end with something a little bit more upbeat because it's been a heavy morning, but how amazing that she, you know, sometimes I even think that maybe her whole journey was just to help him to rediscover his roots. Like, it's unbelievable. And we see that sometimes, how people can drift away and even end up with someone non-Jewish, and then they go through the conversion process and it brings them back. You really never know. But I think that, you know, that they talk about this idea of when she couldn't even speak, that she started to pray, and it wasn't something she was raised with, but it's just something that's innate and inside. So hopefully each of us this week can find a way to be able to tap into what's innate inside of us. And we will continue to meet next 2 Fridays to talk about our faith. Anyone who didn't get a bracelet or one of the prayer cards, please help yourself to the gift, and see you next week. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.